In the land of Canaan lived a man named Jacob who had 12 sons. But he loved one, Joseph, more than any other. As a sign of his affection, Jacob gave Joseph a magnificent coat, woven with every color of the rainbow. This beautiful gift, however, planted a seed of bitter jealousy in the hearts of his 11 older brothers. From a distance, they'd watch Joseph, their envy growing into a dangerous resentment with each passing day. They saw the coat not as a gift of love for their brother, but as a symbol of their own father's neglect. The brothers' simmering jealousy soon boiled over into a cruel and decisive act. One day, while tending their flocks far from home, they saw Joseph approaching. This was their chance. They seized him, stripped him of his precious coat, and sold him to a passing caravan of traders bound for Egypt. As Joseph was dragged away, he looked back, his eyes filled with a pain and betrayal that would haunt his brothers for years to come. His vibrant coat, now stained and torn, was a grim trophy of their treachery. Arriving in Egypt, a land of towering pyramids and strange gods, Joseph was sold again, this time to Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard. Though he was now slave, a foreigner in a foreign land, Joseph did not despair. He worked diligently, applying himself to every task with integrity and skill. His master, Potiphar, quickly noticed this young man's exceptional abilities and honest character. Soon, Potiphar entrusted Joseph with everything he owned, making him the overseer of his entire household. For a time, it seemed Joseph's fortune was turning, but his newfound peace was fragile. Potiphar's wife took notice of the handsome young Hebrew servant. She tried to seduce him, day after day, but Joseph, faithful to both his God and his master, refused her advances. One day, in a fit of rage and scorned pride, she grabbed his cloak as he fled from her. Humiliated, she then twisted the story, falsely accusing Joseph of attacking her, using his abandoned cloak as her proof. Potiphar, enraged by this apparent betrayal, had Joseph thrown into the royal prison, a dark and desolate place. Even in the depths of the dungeon, Joseph's spirit was not broken. His character and wisdom shone through once more. The chief jailer saw the same integrity that Potiphar had, and soon put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners. It was here that Joseph's unique gift came to light. He shared a cell with two of Pharaoh's former servants, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. Both men were troubled by vivid dreams they couldn't understand. Joseph, guided by his faith, correctly interpreted their dreams. He told the cupbearer that in 3 days he would be restored to his position, and the baker that in 3 days he would be executed. What will become of Joseph? Will he ever be free again? Keep watching to discover his fate. Everything happened just as Joseph had foretold. The cupbearer was restored to Pharaoh's court, but in his joy he completely forgot about the young Hebrew man languishing in prison. Till long years passed, Joseph remained in the dungeon, his hope dwindling with each passing day. It seemed he was destined to be forgotten, a victim of injustice left to rot in a foreign prison. The promise of his youth felt like a distant, fading memory. Then, one night, Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world, had two disturbing dreams. He dreamt of 7 fat, healthy cows being devoured by 7 gaunt, sickly cows. Then he dreamt of 7 full heads of grain being swallowed by 7 thin, blighted heads. He awoke in a cold sweat, deeply troubled. He summoned all the magicians and wise men of Egypt, but none could decipher the meaning of his visions. The entire court was in turmoil. It was then that the chief cupbearer's memory was jolted. He suddenly remembered the young Hebrew in the prison who had so accurately interpreted his own dream. Immediately, Joseph was summoned from the dungeon. He was cleaned up, given fresh clothes, and brought before the mighty Pharaoh. After hearing the dreams, Joseph didn't claim any special power for himself. He calmly explained that God was revealing to Pharaoh what was about to happen. The 7 healthy cows and full heads of grain, he said, represented 7 years of incredible abundance and prosperity for Egypt. That the 7 sickly cows and blighted heads of grain signified 7 years of a devastating famine that would follow, a famine so severe it would consume the land and make the years of plenty seem like a distant memory. Pharaoh and his officials were stunned by the clarity and wisdom of Joseph's interpretation. But Joseph didn't stop there. He advised Pharaoh to appoint a wise and discerning man to oversee the collection of food during the 7 years of plenty, storing up the surplus grain in preparation for the coming famine. Pharaoh, deeply impressed, looked at Joseph and declared, "Since God has shown you all this, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." In an instant, Joseph was transformed from a prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. For the next 7 years, Joseph masterfully organized the collection and storage of grain. The harvests were bountiful, and the storehouses overflowed. Then, just as he had predicted, the famine began. The scarcity wasn't just in Egypt, it gripped all the surrounding lands. The world grew hungry, and word spread that there was grain in Egypt. From all over the region, people journeyed to buy food, their survival dependent on the foresight of the man Pharaoh had put in charge. Among those desperate travelers were 10 men from Canaan, Joseph's own brothers. When they arrived and bowed down before the powerful Egyptian governor, they had no idea they were bowing to the very brother they had sold into slavery so many years ago. Joseph recognized them instantly, but his face remained a mask of authority. A whirlwind of emotions must have stormed within him: anger, pain, but also curiosity. Had they changed? Were they still the same cruel, jealous men who had left him for dead? He decided to test them. Speaking harshly through an interpreter, he accused them of being spies, sent to see where the land was vulnerable. Terrified, they pleaded their innocence, telling him about their family back in Canaan, their old father and a younger brother, Benjamin, who had stayed behind. This was the opening Joseph needed. He devised a plan. He would hold one of them, Simeon, as a hostage and demand they return with their youngest brother, Benjamin, to prove their story was true. The brothers were distraught. They spoke amongst themselves in Hebrew, not realizing the Egyptian governor could understand every word. They lamented that their current suffering was divine punishment for what they had done to Joseph. Hearing their words of guilt and remorse, Joseph was so overcome with emotion he had to turn away to hide his tears. Their journey home, heavy with the grain they had purchased and the burden of their past, was fraught with anxiety for their father and the brother they left behind. After much persuasion, their father Jacob finally agreed to let Benjamin go with them back to Egypt. When the brothers returned and presented Benjamin to Joseph, Joseph's resolve nearly broke. He arranged a feast for them, seating them in order of their birth, which baffled and frightened them. He then orchestrated a final, dramatic test. He had his own silver cup secretly placed in Benjamin's sack of grain. As the brothers began their journey home, relieved and believing their ordeal was over, Joseph's soldiers chased them down, found the cup, and accused Benjamin of theft. The brothers were devastated. Instead of abandoning Benjamin to his fate, as they had done with Joseph, they tore their clothes in grief and returned to the city. Judah, speaking for all of them, offered himself as a slave in Benjamin's place, explaining that losing another beloved son would kill their elderly father. At that moment, Joseph saw it all. He saw their genuine remorse, their love for their father, and their willingness to sacrifice for their youngest brother. Their hearts had truly changed. Unable to restrain himself any longer, Joseph ordered everyone out of the room except for his brothers. Then, weeping so loudly that the entire Egyptian household could hear, he spoke to them in their own language. "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" His brothers were speechless, frozen in shock and terror. But Joseph's voice was not one of vengeance, it was filled with grace. "Do not be distressed," he said, "and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you." He explained how his painful journey had been part of a divine plan to preserve their family and many other lives during the terrible famine. What they had intended for evil, God had used for an ultimate good. The emotional dam broke. Joseph embraced his brothers, and they all wept together, tears of shock, relief, and reconciliation. The news quickly reached Pharaoh, who was delighted. He insisted that Joseph bring his entire family to Egypt, promising them the best of the land. And so, the family was joyfully reunited. Jacob was brought to Egypt, and his reunion with the son he had mourned for over 20 years was a moment of pure, overwhelming joy. The entire clan settled in the land of Goshen, living under Joseph's protection and care, their broken family made whole again. Joseph's story, which began with a colorful coat and bitter jealousy, ended as a powerful testament to the triumph of forgiveness, the mystery of providence, and the beautiful possibility of redemption. Share this story of hope and reconciliation with someone who needs it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow for more inspiring stories.